Niall Rogers, Courtney Love, the Cranberries, Hosier, Skin on Skin, Whoopi Goldberg, and a wide range of Nobel laureates, Olympians, and Oscar-nominated winners. This year, our council has elected BIIG PIIG to the honour of receiving our Golden Honorary Patronage for her contributions to music and the arts. Otherwise known as Jess Smyth, BIIG PIIG has quickly risen to become one of the most prominent artists and case drivers amongst all Irish contemporary musicians, emerging firstly from the soundtrack era in the late 2010s, where music has been consistently praised as a blend in the Irish scene, predominantly for its hybridity, not only across languages of English and Spanish, but also for its unique blend of hip-hop, soul, electronic, and R&B influences. This fluidity has come to define her sound across numerous singles, 4 self-made EPs, 2 breakdown albums, and 7 high-profile collaborations with names like electronic pop musician Hello and Irish artists such as Kojak and Monjo. She's done all this whilst maintaining a strong, independent artistic spirit, which allowed her to pursue her own creative and artistic aims, most recently in 2024, leading a concert for Gaza Aid and raising over €15,000 in 2024 for Palestine. Now signed to RCA Records, her latest album, 1111, has continued to impress audiences, all while continuing to embrace an approach centered in collaboration. She holds a leading role within its 98 collective, leading as an Irish ambassador for DIY music creation in a contemporary age defined by musical conglomerates. We're very excited and thrilled to be honouring Jess with this award, and we'd like to give a quick address.
Insane. She's good. Oh, sorry. Gorgeous, thank you. Ooh, how you doing? Oh, she's gonna murder herself. I wrote down little things, otherwise I'll just rattle on for ages. So, okay. I want to say I want to do it. I want to start by saying thank you so much for inviting me. This is so much. It's such an honor to be here, and having been nominated to this as well is good news. I never stuck at school long enough to go to university, so it's pretty surreal experience. And one that I've been shut up about for a long time. A lot of my learning in life came from the community that I was lucky enough to encounter at open mic nights and at music venues, when passing around the mic over beats and sharing struggles and views and restrictions of the world with each other through music. That kind of vulnerability is something that unlocks us in a way where we can trust each other to know that we are held through the harder times and celebrate each other in the happier moments too. Music is all instinct really. I think that when you're in that pocket, it just feels like you're connecting with there's so much more that I want to say about music. I think Quincy Jones put it really well when he said, leave ego at the door. That once ego enters the room, creativity leaves. And I think it's such a true statement that even outside of music, we don't get far with our guards up. And the way the world is right now, with the extreme divisiveness of politics and so much hatred fueled from the far right, it's more important now than ever to keep a conversation going as much as we can, to keep spaces for us to connect as a community, to speak up for people that have no voice, and to keep fighting for the future. Any bloodshed is too much, and we have a duty to stand up for our brothers and sisters around the world right now, in genocide in Palestine, in Sudan, in Congo, and some of the places that are facing the horror of corruption. Together, our voices are louder, and everything we do leaves a trace. Every one of us has an impact. So I want to leave this with again extending how grateful I am to be here, and reminding us that every moment is an important one. With a quote left by Mahan, saying, "May we remember the old ways of listening to the stories of the land, to each other, and to our deepest spirits. Let gratitude be our compass, unity our path, and love our constant return." I feel like that says everything that I wanted to say. So yeah, thank you so much.
questions and
Oh,
then
do you?
open it up to the audience. It's a really beautiful address you've given there, and I think I'm personally really interested to sort of talk about your original background. I kind of want to start with the name. I know that feels romantic, but I was reading initially, and you said that your sort of name was intentionally picked because it sort of defied being boxed into like a certain genre or a certain style.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to hear a little bit more about sort of that story and how you sort of, from your initial early days of your career, you've sort of attempted to sort of defy being boxed in and being labelled under certain musical categories.
Yeah, well, actually, it came about by chance because me and a friend had like gotten a pizza and whatever, and it was really horrible. And we went back home and we were drunk and we were like, whatever. And I was just trying to find something that I didn't need to put my face on. And so we had nicknames for each other, and his was Big Pig for me, and so I just started to use that. But then I grew to love it so much because exactly that, I didn't feel like it boxed me in, and it felt like there was no real boundaries around it, do you know what I mean? And I think, yeah, that just goes with everything. I feel like that I love about music is that there is no one line, do you know what I mean? There's no like, it's just expression, and the way that I find it is that like, I love when it takes me on a journey in different genres or to different places. And yeah, it's cool.
It's and you mentioned earlier, sort of in the intro, but you've travelled around a lot. Sort of in your youth, you had, born in Cork, but then also spent time in West London, also spent time in Costa del Sol in Spain.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to sort of hear about how those different locations sort of influence your musical preferences. Not only, I suppose, just in terms of what you liked and what you enjoyed listening to growing up, but also sort of in the creative process, whether sort of the background from Ireland influence your desire for songwriting, or any sort of region had any more preference towards production, things like that.
Massively. I think as a whole, moving around, you become so desperate for something that grounds you and something that feels like something to come back to. I think music that always gave me that feeling. And like in Ireland, obviously, like music is such a thing that brings you home. Do you know what I mean? Like whether you're at the back of the pub at the end of the night and you're singing songs, or just the stories and the way that we keep our history through so much poetry and art and music. I think that's always been a thing that's been inspiring for me. And also, yeah, I guess in Spain, there's different influences. I think the soul and the kind of the way that music like binds community is so strong, both in Spain and in Ireland. And then going to London, there was just so much. I was opened up to a whole world of so much different music and so much different culture, and like, yeah, it became really, really inspiring. That's where like hip hop kind of, my roots with all of that kind of started to grow, and started to go to open mic nights and jam nights. And being in a space, especially when you're in a city that moves so fast, and you find a space where you can kind of stop and just, there's like, just for that, however long you're in that space, everyone is open about everything that's going on, whether it be home life or stuff that's going on in the world, or whatever you're like feeling deeply, you can kind of share, and it becomes a place of holding that's so important. And I think especially now I feel like we need more of that really. But yeah, sorry, I'm going on a tangent now.
It's really interesting that you say that, and you've sort of brought such an emphasis to sort of the grassroots scenes that you came up in, be that through open mic nights and things like that, because if I'm looking at your sort of early career and your early EPs, there's a lot of ties to sort of SoundCloud and that sort of era where sort of internet virality really drove a lot of like the big musical moments of that period. I mean, when you're talking to sort of fellow artists now, what do you sort of see as more important? Is it sort of making sure that you're active in those sort of online spaces where virality can really sort of define and shape your career, or is it that you need to have a tie to that sort of grassroots scene to really help you sort of discover your own voice?
I would say, I think the virality of things, like obviously it can be very helpful for careers, but I think as an artist and developing who you are as an artist and finding your voice in it, and also the community aspect, that's the real payoff, is when you find people that you can really understand as musicians and grow with and
there's just so much in that it's just, it's incredible. And then obviously, I think, like, promote yourself and do all of that. It's like, it goes with it, but I think the grassroots and the venues and being in a live space where it's more impulsive and it's more imaginative and it's real, do you know what I mean? Like, those things for me are the places that I find most inspiring. But yeah, I think, yeah.
And so you release your time to RCA and you end up spending more time in London setting up your career there, and then you end up joining the 9/8 Collective, which is this leading London collaborative musical group based in West London. Can you talk a little bit about your process of finding that group, and then also, you know, making the decision to commit yourself to this sort of collective team sort of full time?
So that was, before music was a career, or was that when I was able to do it full time, I'd met Lavalerie McWeather in college, which is like when we're like 16 in London. And then we just started to have kind of ciphers and jams and invite each other out to different things. And we were like, actually, why don't we make this kind of just a bigger collective when like different artists and different videographers and a place to be inspired by each other and work together. And and it became something that was so incredible. And also, like, obviously we're all still best friends and we still make stuff together under 9/8, even though we're all doing our own side projects and our own projects. But to have like a community like that you can come back to, and it's not just about like life in music, it's like outside of music. You share so much with each other, and it's, I'm really lucky to have it, I feel like. And then we had the RCA deal, which was mad, and everything else,
How did that come to define? Because I think a lot of people sort of view those two different spheres, so sort of big label growth, and then sort of collective growth, as being sort of two different sides of a paradigm. I mean, how have you sort of sought to reconcile that? You've obviously been able to, as mentioned with Gaza, you've managed to sort of continue to keep an independent voice, but how does the collective, and I suppose yourself personally, manage to sort of reconcile sort of large conglomerate influence and make sure that that doesn't come to define the music and the art you create?
I mean, I think it's like really staying true to what you want to make. It can be difficult, I think, when you feel there's a lot of pressure, or there's a lot of a lot of pressure in that whatever you call it, in that deal. But I think it's just not letting yourself make decisions because you feel that someone else wants you to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and staying true to what it is that drives you, why you got into it in the first place, what it is that you want to say. Like, there'll always be pressure, like no matter what you do, whether it's music or not, you'll always feel like you have to do, or maybe not. I think that I felt a lot of pressure at different times, and I think the thing that brought me back to just being defiant in making the music that I wanted to make was remembering the first time that I listened to a song and made some change for me. Do you know what I mean? And then kind of being like, I just don't want to shape myself into something that I don't recognize anymore, or I don't feel is true. But it's tough. You've got to fight some battles sometimes for it.
What was the first song that changed something for you then?
Oh my god. It was actually really depressing. It was a really depressing song. It was Ben Harper, Another Lonely Day, because I know she was going through it. But it was. But it's so beautiful. It's crazy because he was like a guy in his 50s in America somewhere playing on an acoustic guitar, and I was had just moved to London and was just dealing with my own stuff and family and whatever. And we were talking about completely different things. He was talking about losing a partner for years that he's had. And I was talking about moving somewhere that I'd never been, or thinking about that. And it was so clearly defined, I felt like. You know, when you have that connection with a musician like that, where you're like, oh my god, how, I don't feel like anyone else understands this right now, but you do. And that's when I feel fell in love with music properly. Because it is mad, it just, defines time and space. It's nuts.
I think I read about sort of the influence of Ben Parker, and then also, guys like Van Morrison, guys like Leonard Cohen, and I think that it's interesting that those sort of names are sort of known as predominantly songwriters, but there's so much sort of electronic and R&B influence in your work as well. I mean, is there a place you can locate that comes from specifically?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I remember my first cypher that we had when I was around 16 as well then, and listening to Dilla Beats for the first time, listening to Erykah Badu, listening to D'Angelo, and being like, oh my god, where has this music been my whole life? And it just was instant of like, it's that same feeling where you're like, oh, I feel like, yeah, it's being like, music is being painted with more colours, and the scene is like, it makes so much more sense. Do you know what I mean? Every time you find something that you love in music, I feel like things make a little bit more sense. So it's cool, I think. But yeah, definitely in London is where I found those influences more so.
I think that's interesting, and kind of brings me to sort of your relationship with the Irish scene. I mean, you've obviously got like a really great role as a sort of collaborator with a lot of up and coming Irish artists. I mean, partially due to your sort of location in London and the fact that there's lots of Irish artists that sort of would maybe like to break out of, be it Dublin or be it Cork, or like from sort of local scenes into an international space. Is there a particular, type of advice that you have for Irish musicians that want to get abroad or want to sort of make a name outside of their own towns?
Yeah, well, I would say the way that, especially in the SoundCloud days, it would be like messaging different artists or, messaging different artists from all around. That's how I met Kojak for the first time. That's how I met that's how I met different artists from different places. And so the music scene might feel really, really separate, but it's actually quite, if you get kind of in touch with people, or if you go over and you go to nights, you go to jam nights, you go to, just get immersed in the live scene, I feel like that's where the community is. Do you know what I mean? There's so many incredible jam nights in London, and I'm sure even like Chamomile Club and stuff put on some really good nights here. But it's just building that community, and then making the trip over or whatever, and then and also like just make the art that you want to make and make it as great as you can, I think, and then hopefully they'll try.
That's connect.
Yeah, they'll connect.
Do you think there's something that the Irish scene is potentially missing, or you'd like to see more of going forward? Be that sort of, as you said, like more collectives or more sort of collaborative events or setups, or is there just generally a sound that you think is going under-recognized right now that you'd like to see more?
Yeah, I think I can always, there's always room for more events and more spaces to teach each other and to be in the same kind of collective mindset, I think. Especially, I think there's more and more songs getting showcased on radio and stuff, but it's still not loads, especially for independent artists. I think there could be a lot more, so I think it's that thing of the more we can build it ourselves, the stronger that is, you know what I mean? So yeah, definitely more events, definitely more, I've been seeing there's so much variety in the music that's been made out here at the minute, which is super cool when it comes to, jerk speed tracks and rap and alt music, alt indie. There's so many bands and so much going on. It's super exciting. But yeah, just more venues opening up, I think, and more people showcasing their own events. I was reading a DIY interview also that there's, and it's funny you bring up radio because you mentioned sort of responsibility, sort of help lead, particularly for female artists. In a space where they're not potentially as recognised as they could be, and radio in Ireland has gotten a lot of stick for that in the past. Do you think that you yourself have a responsibility to lead on that front as sort of a female artist that can speak out and make sure that other women are represented in 100%.
the alternative spaces?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's all of our responsibility really, but I think it's making sure that you're showcasing newer talent on the scene, and even when it's going to tours and everything else, trying to bring other people up, because otherwise yeah, a lot of people do get left behind because it's just the same old routine that kind of gets played out quite a lot of the time. And I think it is like slowly changing. It's just that, I mean, even lineups and festival lineups, you know, like it's so recent in times where it was full male lineups, like it's insane. So yeah, it's cool to see that it's changing, but it's definitely, we can all do, I think, more to bring each other up a bit more.
Yeah, it's funny that you were talking back there. Just initially played T-ball 3 or 4 years ago,
crazy.
way back, and then went on. And this is maybe your first time back since?
Yeah, first time back.
I mean, is there anything particularly in that time since, you know, you think you regret worrying about? You know, I think there's, obviously, as you said, it's a time of sort of mass confusion and comfort, especially for young people. Is there something that, you know, you wish you'd worried about less or focused on more?
Yeah, I suppose, God, there's so many things. I'm a big worrier, so I think there is, yeah. I think worked on more and worried about less. I guess being present a bit more, because I think life is happening just so fast, and you can kind of get very like kind of wrapped up in what's going to happen or where we're going to go and but it's like one step at a time. Do you know what I mean? Whether that be like making music or in activism or in any other thing. It's just like let's do this one step at a time and let's get there together. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, and also I feel like, I don't know, I just think about back then and making music, especially making albums and stuff like that. Like you put so much weight, and I definitely do this a lot, where I put so much weight on songs where I'm like, oh, is it good enough? Is it going to be whatever? Is it finished? Is it finished? And it goes on for like, you can do this for like years. And I feel like I've met so many artists starting out that are just, it's that first step that's like the most daunting one. Just to finish the track, just to put it out, not to think about where it's going to go, not to think about what it's going to do, just for the intention of like releasing it. And like, I think it's a good reminder, because I definitely have a long struggle with that. It takes me so long sometimes to get things done. But it feels great when you do, because it's the whole reason that we make it is to release it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so maybe it's just being less stagnant maybe, or in my head.
I think we'll open it up to questions, if anybody has any questions in the field.
Do you have a favourite song of yours, and is there a story behind it?
Ooh, it's like picking a favourite child. It's like, favourite song of mine and a story behind it. Oh, which one do I love? I mean, there's tracks that I love to play live. Switch is one that I love to play live, and every time I play that live, and it's an older track now, like it's been for a while, but I love it so much, and I think what it is the chaos and the feeling of it, and the kind of, I don't know, whenever we play it live, it's almost like a very euphoric moment, because you're just letting everything out. So it feels great. But the story behind it, honestly, is a bit of a blur. I think like there was a period of time where music was kind of the only thing that was quite still, and like the process of making music was the only time where you could kind of, everything stopped for a bit, and then you'd go back out into the chaos, and it would just be like very fast. But yeah, and I feel like almost we stumbled upon it because we were like, what kind of genres that make you feel like you're in a race a little bit, or there's like something to, yeah, it feels like things are happening very fast, and so we kind of landed on like a jungle beat, and it's been cool.
And the video itself, as well as the animations.
Yeah.
How
So
did you come with the style, or how did you decide what you wanted for the video?
So I like spent loads of time trying to find different artists, and I came across one called Alice Bloomfield. She's incredible. She does animation and these kind of not cartoons, but she does videos. She also does posters. She does like a bunch of different things, but she is incredible. So I spoke to her about kind of the storyline and wanting to include some friends in it, and it's about like breaking out of this kind of Matrix-esque kind of world that we created, and it was really cool to work on her with it. There's so many incredible visual artists I feel like out there, and yeah, I just messaged her one day and was like, hey, do you want to do this? She was like, yeah, I'm down. So then we worked on that. It was really cool.
I just forgot to introduce, I'm a big fan. I really, really love
Oh,
your music. So I should have started with that, but thank you for answering.
No, thanks so much.
There's a question there.
Ooh, favorite venue. Let me think. Obviously Olympia was great. Really nice to play that last year, and that was gorgeous. But where else have we played that's been unreal? So classic that you just get frozen now. Just looking back on like how many tours, life's flashing through my thing. We did the Roundhouse in London, which was quite a big one as well. And it's cool. It used to be like where trains would stop and turn themselves to go somewhere else. And I'm kind of like, that feels very fitting for the time that we were playing there. So it's cool. There's so many different venues. To be honest, though, I feel like a venue is only as good as the crowd in it. Like, it's obviously there's some iconic spots and it's like amazing to play in certain places, but it's the people and the crowd that really make it come to life, you know? So I think more so than favorite venues, but favorite like shows and times that I look back on. Oh my god! Yeah, so many, like so many. We played. Where did we play recently? We played in Dublin last time, was incredible, and I had loads of family come down to that. Half the crowd of my family was it was so good. And then we played in Manchester then before that, and that was a really emotional show, and it was my bandmate Dan's birthday, and it was just, you know, when everything kind of just like flows and you're in a real like synchronized place, and it just felt really, really good. La Cigale in Paris I love as well, which is really gorgeous. We played there as well, which is really cool. And the ground kind of shakes when you jump, which I love. Sorry, and then Thekla. I go on for ages. Thekla is really cool as well. It's in Bristol. It's on a boat, and and they go out, and it's just like, it's very cool. I like it a lot. But
I don't know if this is like kind of random, but if you were like on a desert island, right, and you could only listen to one album, watch one film, and read one book for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Oh, okay. So I'll start backwards. So I think book, I'm kind of torn between two. I love memoirs and I love autobiographies. It's my favorite style of book. I just love hearing stories and hearing how someone like gets to a place or what people work through. And there's a really beautiful memoir by Sadie Jones. It's called How We Fight for Our Lives, and it follows him on a story through his life, I guess, through Louisville and being gay and being black in a really conservative place, and his relationship with his mom, and his poetry is just incredible, and the way that he describes his life through this book is just really, really beautiful. So many moments in that book that, like, even when I reread it, I'm like, wow. And what else is there? I'll stick with that one. That's a good one. But and then what was the second one?
Like a film and an album.
Film and an album. Okay, film. What did I watch? Oh my god. Okay, I'll come back to that one. Album. I would say. You know, maybe. Oh, that's also really difficult. There's an album that I love called Masterpiece by BIIG PIIG. And it's one that I moved away and I just listened to it so much, and it really grounded me, really brought me home. And it's like, it's really just so beautifully written. The lyrics are incredible. The emotion through the guitar lines and just the passion. Adrian Lenker is an incredible lyricist, an incredible vocalist. But yeah, her kind of expression through that whole record, it's really beautiful. So maybe that one. Yeah. And then the film, the film. Let me think. So many good films out there, you know.
You don't have to choose it if you don't
No,
want
no,
to.
no, it's great. One that I would rewatch, that I'd love to rewatch, would be maybe. It's just completely frozen. Sorry. I'll come back to it.
It's the desert island disc gauntlet. It's not
Yeah,
the.
it's
It's
cool.
was there another question there? Did I miss? Yeah.
When you're making a song, do you kind of like get the beat and then kind of make the lyrics, or would you start kind of with an idea of like what the lyrics or the kind of vibe of the song would be?
Yeah, so I feel like I've been experimenting recently. I started off just finding beats on YouTube, or finding beats on SoundCloud, and messaging producers and being like, "Can I use this beat, please?" Or and just writing over that and feeling it through that kind of a way, writing lyrics and melodies and then recording that over it. And then in the last few years, I love getting in with different producers and us carving out an idea together. Still, I never really go in with an intention beforehand because I quite like to just jam and see what the music wants to go itself. Do you know what I mean? But then very recently, in the last few weeks, I've experimented a bit more with going in with an intention. And it's been interesting. I think my worry sometimes going in with an intention is that I don't want to put too many boundaries around myself. But maybe that's the thing, it's like it's good to be challenged and it's good to see whether you can still make something that you love or something that's like, that doesn't feel boxed in when you do, make an idea before. But yeah, there's so many ways to do it. Yeah, it's cool.
How did you find any of when you decided to go into it full time into music? Was it something that everyone expected, or was it something that just like, are you sure about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was tricky. I'd left home at 18, so we didn't really, there wasn't much, there wasn't much chat around it. I think, I was working, I left school early, so I left school when I was 17, and I started working. And the job that I had before I dived into music was I was a poker dealer for a while, and that was good money, but crazy hours. And I guess my family's notion on it was kind of, like, it was hard for them to understand what that meant. Do you know what I mean? I guess like it was never something that we really saw as like, oh, you're gonna be able to live off of music, or you're gonna be able to do whatever. It's always like, yeah, cool, like you can do music, but just like make sure you have a job, make sure you work, make sure you've got something coming in. So taking the jump to that was just, and I think it still is confusing for a lot of them. I think my aunt came over once and she was like, "Should I school?" And I was like, no, they're all good. But yeah, it's weird. I think, it is. I mean, for me even, it was just a very confusing thing to go in as a full-time career. But I love it so much. And it is like, it's not the same path for everyone, you know? It's like, there's a lot of grafting you have to do and a lot of work to get to that point, and also it can be, especially if you're independent or if you're kind of in that zone, it can kind of, you've got to be very resourceful and look for, whether it be funding or whether it be just resources from different places to try and make it happen, because I think relying on something like a record deal, obviously it's helpful for a bit of cash, but it's not the be all end all, and it's cool to think of what you can do independently, and how you can make it work and make it a career, for yourself, by yourself. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
I think with that, we'd like to thank Jess for coming.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Sorry, stand down. We'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks, guys.